We're now going to dive into more of the meat and potatoes of Excel. And to begin, we're going to start on how to use formulas within Excel. Formulas within Excel is basically the method of how Excel calculates equations and simply just how Excel uses math. And since there's so many operations in math, there's various symbols that Excel uses to identify which operation to do. And I have a little chart here which really just displays the 4 simple operations. So addition, Excel uses the plus symbol. For subtraction, Excel uses the dash key. For multiplication, Excel uses the asterisk key, or if you don't know what that, where it's on your keyboard, it's your shift and your number 8 key. And then finally for division, Excel uses the backslash symbol. And so to begin, every formula within Excel always starts with an equals sign. This equals sign signals to Excel that you're going to put in a formula or a calculation and you want to spit out an answer. So to begin, I'm going to just put in a simple equation with just straight numbers. For example, 5 plus 6. I'm going to press enter and it's going to spit out the correct answer. So Excel really knows it's math. Straightforward, don't need to question it. Furthermore, instead of just using numbers, so when I put 5 plus 6, instead, for it to be more effective and efficient, you can put cell addresses in and it'll calculate the equation using the values from the cell addresses. So for example, in here, I have 2 numbers I have in cells, so I have 5 and 14. And to calculate them, I have a bunch of rows and I'm going to calculate it. So for example, I'm going to add them together. So I'm going to press the equal sign. And instead of putting 5, I'm going to actually use the address of the cell that has 5 in it, which is B11. And then to add, I'm going to use the addition key. And then for the second number, instead of putting 14, I can put B12. And I'm still going to get the same answer. I'm going to get 19. And again, I can do this with all the operations. So to quickly go through them, I'm going to do B11 minus B12. I'm give the right answer there. Again, multiplication works as well. Instead of writing the cell address with your keyboard, you can actually click the cell if it's more convenient for you. The asterisk B12. Finally, division, same thing. Backslash B12. Press enter and it'll give me all the correct answers. And a reason of why this is using cell addresses is more effective than using straight numbers is that let's say a number can vary. And if a number varies, you don't want to go back through all these cells and change all the numbers. So for example, in my simple formula at the top, if let's say 5 wasn't the correct number, it was actually 7, I'd have to go back into this formula and fix it manually. There you go. That works for 1 or 2 cells. But when you have a whole chart full of formulas, you don't want to be tinkering with each formula at a time. So that's why instead of numbers, we use cells. For example, if my first number was wrong, it wasn't 5, it was actually 2. I can just change one value for one cell, and then, so I'm going to change that to 2, and for every formula that uses the number that was 5 or B11, if I used its cell address, it'll change the formula as well. So I'm going to press enter and all of my formulas below it will change. And there you go. All of these formulas will modify to what these values are in here. So I'm going to do any number, 2, it will change. So that's really the greatness of how cell addresses work better than just plain numbers, and why Excel really makes it really efficient to use calculate lots of data that can vary time to time. So for example, let's say I own a clothing store and I want to count my inventory, and I want to find the total value of it. On Excel, I can create a chart just like this one, where I have the item, its cost, and the quantity that I have in inventory. And then I can put it all in the chart, and I can calculate totals of each, and eventually find the total of my inventory, hopefully. So this is a simple multiplication formula. So again, always begin your formulas with the equal sign. Put in my first cell, which is the cost, and they're going to multiply it by the quantity. Simple enough. And there you go, I have the total for it. For a simple tip, if you want to use the same formula across multiple rows, all you have to do is select the cell, and at the bottom right of the cell, there should be a little colored in square. If you put your cursor over the square, this colored in square, your cursor will change. And when it changes, you know that you'll now be able to drag it down or drag wherever you want the formula to be in, across multiple rows or columns. So I'm going to drag all the way down to all the items. And what this does is basically it just copies the formula from the cell you selected across all the cells that you selected, or all the cells that you dragged over, sorry. And so there you go. I have the totals for each of my inventory items. If I want to find a grand total, I could use another formula. Sorry, grand total, not formula. And so again, to do a formula, use the equal sign and do the equation or formula that you wanted to calculate. So I'm going to sum up all these cells. So this works across multiple cells, not just two. There you go. I'm going to press enter, and there's my grand total. So that's the value of my inventory. For more advanced Excel users, you just saw what I did, and there's a much easier way of finding the sum of multiple cells. And we're going to learn that in the next video, and that video is about functions in Excel. So hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.